Hello, everybody. Let's exit to port. It is currently the 29th of May at 13:08/2023. It is a gray day here in northern Norway, and not many days ago I had to rescue my lawnmower from snow. So, yeah, that tells you how far north I am. But somebody else who is far north in spirit, not necessarily in how tall he is, Mr. Grumbles the Dwarf, my esteemed colleague. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. Now that I found the stepladder to get up on my chair.
So it's not your real ladder, it's just your step ladder?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's adopted, yeah.
I had to do it. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Poor stepladder. He gets a lot of flack from the other stepladders because he's ginger.
I mean, no, stopping there. I want to start today by saying we might be having some technical issues here and there, but hopefully our steps to prevent this will be good, so that nothing of the issues will be showing up on your end to our dear listeners, either if it's you're on YouTube or Spotify or wherever this comes out, Google Podcasts, iTunes, yeah, all of the places.
Yep.
We have a fairly well filled in episode for you today. For those of you on YouTube, you can see the topics in front of you, and as always, the normal caveat is that if we do not have the time to cover the subjects, we'll probably just skip them. But we'll see. We have plenty of time. So where do we start? I think we just start at the top and just kind of, let's talk about the elephant in the room. As most of you guys know, we do try to stay positive and have a good constructive conversation whenever we're on here. We have a fellow content creator whose name is Flamu. He was a CC, but he still streams World of Warships. He still creates a lot of content for it. And he recently released a video where he talks about the decline in numbers in World of Warships accounts and a few other things. He focused heavily on it being the content itself and the decisions made by Wargaming that were the issue. But I have another observation that I want to bring up with this that I think has a bigger impact than most people give it credit. And it is something that I know we've talked about before and that I do feel is important to address. It is the content saturation. There's simply too much going on at the same time. And as kind of a proof of this, I recently reinstalled World of Tanks. Oof. After having been away for a long time. Yeah, oof, yes. and the first thing that hit me was this wall of notifications and everything going on. So many little red pips everywhere showing me that this is new, that is new, there's something new. And I do believe that World of Warships is close to having the same issue. Because I loaded into World of Tanks and my brain went, whoa, I don't know where to start. I have no idea where to start. And World of Warships has had this kind of there's been too many layered events. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Dockyard with release of tech tree ships on
Mm-hmm.
top of that, and with some other grind towards some captain or other things going on at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
where where and I haven't noticed it as much lately, but for a long time, from roughly um early 2019, there was this insane layering of the missions on top of each other, and the thing was, it was impossible to do all of them at the same time. You either need to spend way too much time in game,
Mm-hmm.
thus making it an unhealthy relationship with the game, or you needed to pay in order to get access to these things. And there was a lot of that going on for a long time, and I think this is mainly where some of these numbers that Famu showed off, and we're talking a, a net loss in the amount of accounts being more and more prevalent. And I think that has been a bigger issue for wargaming than most people are aware, because too much of a good thing, simply. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
know we as a community have asked for more content and more things to do, but there's a difference between having a glass of water and throwing a tsunami at somebody, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about that part of the saturation before, as you mentioned, and I agree. And I think that it can be a bit overwhelming. It would be interesting to sort of see, and if that's even possible, but like a breakdown of the length that an account had been active and the departure, so to speak, or becoming inactive. Because I'm curious, like, what we can't have is the new player experience.
Hmm.
What I do see, though, like even with some of the UI tweaks, I think this update's actually pretty solid in terms of the changes, and we'll talk about some of those in a short while. But even in terms of the UI adjustments and things becoming more legible. But one of the things I did notice that's relevant to the saturation topic is um, like little things like overlapping of boxes and windows. We've had laugh cry moments for years about the whole division chat box and where that is and where it could be and how that gets in your way and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of almost paling into significance in comparison with just generally like your battle results and whatever is coming up on the right hand side of the screen kind of just horribly overlapping with other things you might be trying to do, like open containers and whatnot. It's only like an intermittent issue, but it is persistent. At first, I thought it was something like with my CC status and lots of things coming in and new ships appearing
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot, and that certainly exacerbated the issue. But just now that that's all settled down, I still have the same issue from time to time with just normal daily content. So but I think that's just a tiny little example, but that's also a part of it too. And I do wonder because the game's always had traditionally a, a somewhat more mature player base, shall we say? um, Certainly put myself in that bracket, and I wonder if a lot of that stuff is also information overload. Maybe, I mean, ultimately, I think it will come down to a combination of factors. Yes, some of the
Oh, definitely.
specific content elements are highly relevant to it, like submarines, the most obvious one. But I think also it's that combined with possibly or very likely the point that you're raising and we're talking about here again, the saturation, because we both feel that. So um, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
tricky one.
and could you imagine that if somebody comes back into the game after having been gone for a while
Mm.
with all the new things, and there's new ships, there's There's new tech trees, there's new captains, there's new ways of thinking missions, there's new game modes. You're going to feel overwhelmed quite quickly.
Yep.
So there's no grace period of coming back. It's just, bam, here you go.
Yep. I mean, I get lost when I'm away for a week. You know, like I have been the last couple of weeks. I've been a little bit lost in space, and I come back and I'm like, wait, what's, you know, I hadn't noticed a few of the things in the update because I'm not the best at keeping up with that, but some of them positively surprised me, and others were like, "Whoa, this is a lot of things going on," like you said, and even and with the tweaks and everything to UI, it just becomes a little bit more sort of in your face. And that's not to be overly critical and say it's not
going,
you know,
I have no memory of this place.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting though, the point you made and your experiences with going back to World of Tanks, which I'll be honest with you, makes me a little bit worried for you. I hope you're okay. Let me know if you need an intervention.
Already uninstalled
Okay.
Right before we started the podcast. Don't worry.
Okay, just teasing. I don't want to. Don't mean to mean any offense to anybody, but yeah, just worry about you if that's the case. If you were like, oh yeah, I'm playing that 3 times a week now, I'll be like,
nah, no,
we need to send Mari back over again. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think you know, it's worrying. I mean, again, the important point we raised it as well is not to try to be controversial or whatever, but is more because it's a game that we're super passionate about, irrespective of CC status and all that as well. Definitely. We just love the game, and we want it to be super fun. And it's been difficult with some of the content that's come along, to say the least. And it's obviously a concern. I'm curious when you look at the numbers, you know, and you can also, we've got to be careful because statistics can work in different ways depending what you want to get out of them. Yeah, I'm what I'm most intrigued about, and whether we get something like, I don't know, but it'd be interesting to know like what the company thinks about it, and what they're obviously there's an element of marketing and damage control and whatever, but it'd be curious just to know what they think about it in terms of like, where's the threshold, they probably from a business point of view can't be too open about that, but when is it healthy, when is it not healthy, do they recognize it, have they got any plans to do anything about it and change things up, you know, all those kind of questions. So maybe we'll get a statement in response. I know it probably won't be in response directly because obviously the relationship is very soured one.
Yeah.
So, you know, they'll probably just go into the we're ignoring it, or we refuse to accept it, or whatever. You know, and there's obviously needling on either side. So you don't get exactly a clear picture. But yeah, be curious just to know whether they see it something like that, how accurate they perceive those stats to be, what they're reading into it, and of course if they've got any plans to do anything about it or make adjustments.
We'll just have to see. But like Rumble said, whenever you see a video that portrays any sort of statistic and kind of goes, "Oh, this is what's happening," keep in mind that these statistics have been cherry picked to show that. And one of my best examples of cherry picking statistics is there's a web page dedicated to this, where the amount of like the suicide rate in the US goes down at the same rate as the decline of use of Internet Explorer. Yeah. So correlation does not mean any sort of causality. So, you know, keep that in mind when looking at any sort of statistic. But yeah, we'll just have to keep our minds on it and see if we can maybe organize some sort of a field of multiple people traveling in a line to get. That is the worst segue I've ever done.
I was like, no,
I don't know.
no, you've lost me.
It's not working. It's not working.
I'm like, it's one of those where I'm turning around, looking in the jungle, thinking, "Hang on, there was two of us. Where's he gone? Tiger?
No, I do not think I am braining at a good segue kind of level today. I just want to point that out. So we're gonna have more of these. I'll try to work on it. However, you tested Convoy.
I did.
Yeah.
I thought before the podcast, because I haven't had time on Friday and over the weekend, I thought let's have a quick go. So I logged on with the intention of saying we'll play 2 rounds because that'll be enough to have, a bit of experience and have a feel for it. 5 rounds later, I was like, so this is fun, and it's really amazing. I've been trying to convince Tiger. I don't think he's fully sold on the idea yet, but I said to him, log in, get your Schlieffen with your Jürgen Berger on it, and or whatever his name is, and just go and sit somewhere at a choke point where you can't be torpedoed too much, and just have fun. And if you find a Mino or a Sejong or something, push him out of his smoke. So you don't need that. Move along, sir. And just sit there. Obviously, don't do that. I'm joking. But fairly share smokes and things, and just watch it happen. 300, 400 plus secondaries, ships dying all over the place. Importantly, the convoy ship. So it's like a mode that's just similar to the dirigible, the airship thing. It's like a mode that's just been made or the Schlieffen's been made for. Like, it works for the GK as well, but not with the same good angles and not with the torpedoes and whatnot. So the Schlieffen's just a more, I'm not saying it's a better ship, but it's a more fun ship. But if you want my 2 cents worth on wargaming, especially if we're talking about, people leaving or getting fed up with it or whatever, just jump into Convoy for as long as it's there and get yourself the Schlieffen or a Pommern if you've got one, or a GK, a Preußen, Ruprecht maybe as well. Just go and, maybe people don't like battleships or secondaries or whatever, but don't sit at the back with them. Right, go. Don't YOLO either. So just be somewhat sensibly risky. Does that make sense?
Sensibly risky.
Yeah. That's what we'll go with. That's all I've got. Brain power is also low on this end today as well. So that's all I've got to offer right now. Be sensibly risky.
You know what? I'll try Convoy after the podcast. Yeah, I'll do that.
I will caveat. Sorry to, but this links it a little bit to some of the previous topic to a minor degree. But there are submarines in there and CVs, and it's annoying. There's no point in sugarcoating it. It is annoying when they're there. But, as a group, you've got enough to deal with it. And the good thing is everybody's kind of, because of the way the convoy system works with the attackers and defenders and the routes that they take and the choke points, it's not, in air quotes, as bad, because they have to move to be somewhat useful as well. So they end up being within your respective ASW ranges and things. So it's not as irritating, but submarines generally can be annoying. I think I'm not going to say more than that. I don't want to go over the top. So they are in there, so be aware of that. But you'll get a lot of games without them, or it'll just be one, or a lot of people playing the tier 8s and leveling up and things. So it's not as bad when you don't get the tier 10s, because they're kind of overpowered. Anyway, but play Convoy, have fun. Don't worry about subs and CVs. Just have a laugh and get your secondary boat and go and smash things. I cannot stress how much fun it can be. You might have different results from time to time. You're not going to win every time, whatever. Sometimes you'll YOLO without realizing it because you get overexcited. But it's what the Schlieffen and all these secondary boats were made for. It's just fun.
I like that. And I also imagine you made good use of the Battle On feature.
Oh, yes, exactly. I don't know why I suddenly went
Fucking
partially
nailed
robot.
one.
I don't know what happened there.
Nailed it. I nailed it. I fucking nailed
You
one of the
did.
segues, at least.
You
I'm
did.
happy for today. I'm happy.
Well
Anyway,
done.
battle on.
There you go. Battle on. So, yeah, battle on. Do you wanna lead battle on? So I've prattled on a bit, or do you want my 2 cents on it?
No, battle on is something that like we've always had the battle on feature at the end of a game, where once everybody's dead and the game is actually fully done, you could hit battle on and you just go into a new battle with the same ship. However, the new part of this is that as soon as you are dead, even without the game finishing, you can take the same ship into a new battle. This is something that War Thunder has had for a long time, where you're able to take the same tank in to a new battle or the same ship into a new battle as soon as you're dead without any issue. And one thing that I feel that will help, that I've always liked about War Thunder, it will help my ability to learn a ship properly, because I won't have this weird artificial break in between every single time. I can be more consistent. I can be more on point. Or if I'm really feeling, okay, right now, this is the grind I need to do, I'll just keep on going with this. And there won't be all this back to port, wait, look at numbers, be discouraged. It's just just keep on trucking. Just keep on trucking and just and especially if you find a ship that you enjoy. You know what? Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, have Grumpy play his Bayard 20 times in a row. Just go. Just enjoy. And I love that. I love that. So it's a great feature that that I'm really glad they've implemented. And there has speaking of, there has been a challenge has been issued. There are certain members in our community that has uttered a challenge to Mr. Killerbin.
Okay.
The challenge to Killerbin was to see if he was able to have 10 battles in activity at the same time with the same ship.
Oh, okay. Doesn't
Because
that imply a degree of YOLO?
Yeah, he is famous for his W key. He even has emotes with a W on it.
Okay.
So, yeah. And we the march of the Ben brigade, sorry, is something that he did during COTS. So it's yeah, and somebody said if he managed to do that, I'll give him 20 subs or something. I was like, oh, okay, well, let's not actively try to throw. That's against the game's rules. I want to point that out. But yeah. That was the challenge. I'm not sure it's possible because that literally means dying within the first 2 minutes and then going on.
Well, exactly. I mean, those battles have got to. I mean, yeah, I don't even know what you could do to be of use at that point.
No, you don't have time to.
Maybe an aircraft strike or some spotting, but how do you die then, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, you would literally have to try to actively go for detonations, and we know people farm those detonations for those flags. Yes, I will keep on whipping that horse. There you go. Sorry. But yeah, no, it's a great feature. I'm really glad they implemented that. And it was about time. Anything else to say about Battle On feature?
No, just echoing your statements and sentiments. Really, I agree. I think it just it's another thing that adds more fun factor. So yeah, I agree that like grinding a line or just a ship that you particularly enjoy, and and I think it helps I think exactly as you put it, to me it amps up the level of fun, because whatever you're into, whether you're grinding a ship for RB or just getting to the next one, or it's just your favorite ship or whatever, or you just had one of those matches. Say you had a game in one of your favorite matches. I don't know why this one's relevant. I'll just mention it, like an Otago. Say you've YOLO'd in and the match hasn't gone your way, or you died early, maybe a lot earlier than your division mates. That seems oddly specific, but I don't know why. And you can just basically get back in and play your Otago again, and get even more YOLOing done. Oddly specific, but the point being that
strange.
If you just have one of those games, we all have those games from time to time, but you just have one of those games where it's like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Then you don't have to. It's not to say go out there and just YOLO the time, not at all. But you can recover from an accidental, let's call it YOLO.
An accidental, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of accidents, the War Thunder developers had a little oopsie.
Okay.
And it kind of annoys me, because about half a year ago there was a survey, quite a large survey, being sent out to several players and being prompted in game in regards to economy, in-game economy for XP credits and so on and so forth. These changes have now been, or were about to be, implemented, but the community answered these potential changes with, first and foremost, something that I'm not a fan of: review bombing War Thunder on Steam. If they are rightful and proper constructive criticisms, sure. Then I say, you know what, fair. Then something has gone awry. But what was being done by the War Thunder community that I'm not in agreement with was that people were posting recipes for stuff like butter chicken with a downvote, and just nonsensical reasons for why downvoting the game. If you had stated in your downvote that the upcoming changes and so on, and properly worded it, I would have been okay with it, because it is a big thing. But that's not the only thing that they did. Another thing that has prompted from this is a large strike by players. I say large, but I gotta say, I honestly don't think it amassed enough people for them to be efficient. Like, I don't think it had an effect, because it largely evolved around those who go on Reddit, those who go on Twitch and YouTube videos and so on, and they didn't reach all the others. And time and time again, when it comes to a free-to-play game, there are two ways you could actually show your full kind of disdain of what's going on. One, leave the game completely. Don't just go on strike. Don't just do this this kind of signal or this symbolic event and yell really loudly and then do nothing about it for after nothing has changed. You go out, you yell, nothing changes, and then you go back to playing. Don't do that. Fully leave it. Or the most efficient way of sending a signal is speaking with your wallet. Do not buy things like premium time, vehicles, and so on, skins, whatnot. Like, and I'm not just talking about War Thunder here. I'm talking about any game that has this. The only way you'll get devs to listen to you that your change is crap is by just being, removing their income. Like that is literally the only way you'll get a dev to listen to any of it. But please be constructive about it. This is reason. This is how I imagine fixing it, or at least be proper about your feedback. Because just saying because isn't a good reason, and this goes for any sort of feedback. Whenever you give feedback, be constructive about it. Give a proper reasoning behind it. It makes it so much easier to actually do something about it. Sorry, this is something I'm fairly passionate about, and communication
you hit that well.
in that way.
You hit that well though. Yeah.
What do you think about going on strike for games?
Yeah, so I I hate to be that guy. I agree, but I also disagree. Or I see different facets to it. I think I agree with all the principles and exactly what you're trying to convey, because being constructive is always the way to go wherever possible. I think that in terms of like strikes and effectiveness and all that, I think part of the problem there is the internet and it's around the world and whatever, and trying to get anything coordinated. I mean, we can't. People chuckle. We can't even get players to play together in air quotes team game online, where you've got a really simple, obvious objective and kind of ways to be successful or less successful. We can't even get that working, right? So to try to coordinate something more that has far more dramatic and real sort of implications than a battle in any of these products or games, almost impossible, I would say. I think that this is obviously there's an outcry, at least amongst some of the more like connected and interconnected parts of the communities. That's often the way these things go. CCs and like you said, content creators and the communities come together, and there's obviously a lot more coordination and coherence because they're typically in direct contact with each other regularly, if not daily. I think that I don't know enough about the specific ins and outs, because when I saw it all kicking off, and a lot of it was about the grind and the higher tiers and that, two things always happen for me personally, because one, I only like the lower tier because I'm not so much into the modern era things. I just don't enjoy them so much, and that's not me going, well, I don't care, I'm not affected kind of thing, not at all, but I don't have the same kind of immediate reaction to it, because I also saw and I heard people talking about it, of like talking about progression and wanting to get to get further or get towards the end, and I thought it isn't really that kind of a game. Neither of them are, albeit of course it's cool and you want to get all the advanced things and whatever, but it's not really about if that's all you're sort of enjoying or wanting to get out of it, I don't know, you'll be probably always going to have difficulty enjoying it consistently, because a free to play with a freemium kind of wrapped around it as the model of for all of these kinds of games. What else are you going to expect? You're not going to get anything else. There's no other way of them doing it. They can either charge you a subscription or make it a game you have to pay for. There's no real other option for them to be economically viable. But what really kind of made me notice it especially was obviously hearing people like Wingerling and co, who friends of ours that are really into it and positive as well mindsets, and very much engaging with people and community and welcoming new players in and guiding them, and to see them kind of being like, whoa, okay. Because I spoke to Wing, I was saying, I wish I probably won't have time or energy to be able to help with the sim event testing again in its latest phase, but I wish you all the success in that. And then they couldn't even get the turnout, really, that they were looking for, or that they'd normally expect, because people were boycotting the game from those communities, even though they want to help each other out. And the content creators, people are just like, nah, this is too much. And then I saw Jean-Claude doing a one of these reaction. He was doing reactionception, because he was doing a reaction to a reaction video of the topic. So there was a War Thunder creator, I didn't catch who it was, who was an Asmongold, the big sort of WoW guy and whatever else, like MMO guy, was doing a reaction video, and then Jean-Claude was watching his reaction video and doing his reaction to that. So it was like really reactionception, but it was just fascinating to see, like, someone like Asmongold, who's quite, for me, I would have thought, he wouldn't even notice this. It wouldn't even be on his radar, But for him to be looking at this and going through it, not as a War Thunder person, but just as a generally like MMO online games kind of thing, what can happen, and talking about from his experiences when the balance tips between grinding, but it's kind of a little bit masked, and it's just tickles you enough that you're kind of there, or you teases you into the sort of freemium kind of category, or it tips over suddenly into, wow, this is just miserable. The amount I have to grind here is just not worth my time, and I'm not getting enough fun out of it, kind of thing. And I get the gist, again, without having all the facts and data in front of me and whatever. I get the gist that that's kind of where we're at now, is one of these, like, they've just tipped the scales, whether way too much or I can't really comment to, but they've just tipped it to the point where, again, at least a significant percentage of the player base are like, nah, I can't do that. And to your point about stepping away, I agree with that sentiment. The reality is, imagine if people just said to us, just walk away from, WoWs, or just walk away from product XYZ.
I never said it was going to be easy.
Yeah.
But that is what you need to do in order to send that signal. It's not going to be an easy thing to do. I'm not sitting here saying that advocating change in something is going to be an easy battle, because in the end, they're not implementing these changes. But when you see the amount of people that has to do something in order for it to actively not become a thing, and we can draw parallels here to the training center thing that Wargaming were trying to do a while back, where the entire community came together and said, this is a bad idea, and Wargaming changed their mind.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I mean. Like, you need players to be like, yeah, no, this is not good. Can we please not do this? And worked in that case. It worked in this case, but it is the importance of being proper about it that I'm saying. I'm not saying it'll be easy. However, I have just looked up. So I find it weird that people are not being part of events where, such as Wingling Dragon, who is such a positive part of this community.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm looking at active players for War Thunder right now, and I sent you a little snippet of it.
Mm-hmm.
On the day where this so-called strike was supposed to happen, what you don't see on that little screenshot there is that there's a tiny spike. There's a tiny spike up in the amount of players. And actually, on the day where the strike should be happening, they see an all-time high within that week. So, for all the talk and such that people have done, they have only managed to get more people active. And I don't mean just temporarily either, because okay, let me show you. So this is a screenshot. I probably won't be sharing these, but just so Grumbles is able to see it. So this screenshot, you see the little peak there towards the end. You also see the divot right after. There's more active players through the night than usual on the day of said strike. And the strike was supposed to last months, they said.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that's just sword waving or whatever. But
yeah,
I think you've got to do those kinds of things to get people to pay attention. The fact that Gaijin have actually paid enough attention that they've actually postponed or not gone through with what they were going to do. I mean, that just proves the point that it does work, that it does have an effect. So, and there's always the adage of like, there's no such thing as bad publicity. And again, having people like Asmongold suddenly getting involved and giving their 2 cents worth and presenting that to their audiences. There might be a bunch of people of like, oh, this is a cool game. I've never heard of this before. Thanks, Asmongold, logging on. And again, people might not be striking because it didn't go through or whatever. So those kind of things are really hard to coordinate, even in IRL, like in what I would call a more meaningful context and subject matter than, in air quotes, just a video game. It's not to diminish it in the sense of our hobbies and mental health and things like that at all, but we're not exactly talking about the suffragette movement here or something like that, right? So yeah, it's a funny one. I also I also want to say that I'm actually kind of a fan of not trolling or certainly not being rude. I fully agree with that. You should be respectful. You should kind of be poignant. But I don't have necessarily a problem with people putting in like comical or using humor to try to still address the topic without it sort of exploding. Too much pressure. I think that humor is very important in these kinds of things. So I wouldn't have a problem with a review bomb that's basically just a macaroni and cheese. Shout out to Molly Berry for that one in my brain. Recipe or something. If it's to show that it's like upvoting something and saying that I'm part of this too. I want to help, but here's also something that maybe gives people a bit of a chuckle and brings it into some sort of relative context rather than it being just like rantastic or whatever. So I think that humor is incredibly important in any kind of circumstance, especially something that's challenging like that. So I'm not personally against that.
So I'm not against the humor. What I'm against here is the fact that it's in the Steam reviews. The Steam reviews are used as a tool for others to decide on, is this a good game for me to play or not? If this was a sign-up sheet to kind of say, okay, sign up here to show your support, and with a little message, go nuts. Because there, the active text, which is there to help somebody understand something and give context to why are we doing this, is different. So in that sense, I think it's important, but on Steam reviews, it's like that's where you explain to people that right now the economy is busted. This is what you will experience, kind of thing. That's where you explain that part. But on Reddit, that's where you post the butter chicken and you say, yeah, okay, here, I agree with this. Here's my recipe for pancakes. There's a right place to do these things.
Yeah, I don't agree, but I see your point. So don't argue about it, but I see it differently because I think I think that Steam is arguably a place that's considered, certainly by the games industry, as probably more legitimate. And certainly can't be ignored, whereas Reddit can probably be almost certainly ignored in most circumstances. And just put down to the internet being weird. whereas Steam is the place where people put their wallets on the line and influence more directly each other's. So again, I agree with you in terms of like the ideal reviews are the ones that are very factual and have all the statements, but there's probably plenty of those or links to sites where you can read more information than you might be able to get in a Steam review to fit. Yeah, I don't have a problem with, you know, good natured tomfoolery on there either, because that might be more people are likely to see in general in a sort of MMO or whatever. More people are going to see stuff that's on Steam reviews than they're going to read Reddit. So, you know, that's just, I just see it differently like that, because I think that's the place where you have to protest, where the place where people are going to open their wallet. That's where you have to make your protest. Otherwise, with the best intent in the world, people will just be like, no, it's just Reddit. Who cares?
Well, that's what I mean. I wouldn't take a downvote seriously if it had the recipe for butter chicken in it. But that's kind of where my brain lands at least. So, but then again, my brain is a fantastic place full of its own little quirks. So I'm not gonna enforce my brain onto others. That would be cruel and unusual punishment. Speaking of cruel and unusual punishment, you've been playing Star Citizen.
Nice segue. Beautifully done.
I know, right?
Beautifully done. That was superb. One of the best. Yeah, I have been playing Star Citizen when Star Citizen allows me to play Star Citizen. So that's probably the best way to start that off. Because I think when is like the keyword I would use. What is Star Citizen? It is some of the best and worst that you can see of a gaming product. Best in terms of when it's working. So that's the keyword in all of this. It's already brilliant, not just in terms of concept, but like what's already there is brilliant. And it just comes down to if and when the game wants to show off that brilliance consistently and let you enjoy it. And far too often, it doesn't. It says, oh, this brilliant thing that you're really excited about. Yeah. No. That's only the second Tuesday of each month. The rest of the time, it's the rest of the time it's like, yeah, good luck with that, mate. This is how does this work? Because the game's not very good at teaching you stuff either. It's kind of like you just go in there and just learn by doing and make your mistakes. And that wouldn't be terrible. People, you could argue all day long about that, and they've been putting tutorial stuff in and everything and really working on it. You can see the effort that's going in, even though it needs to be a lot more. But the community is really helpful. They really embrace newcomers. They really help each other out. It's the internet, so there's everything in between as well. But in general, my experience has been really like an eye-opener in a positive way in terms of, wow, people really are helping each other out. People, you know, it's been amazing. Even the in-game chat, it's you don't want it on all the time, as with all internet products, but you want it on whenever you get stuck or whatever and ask people. It's been a breath of fresh air and for 90% of it. It's just the inconsistency and it's, well, I describe it to people when I'm streaming it and playing it. It's like it's a game that will just sneak up on you and kick you in the shins when you're not paying attention, or when you just randomly. You will guaranteed, if you play the game for even an hour, 2 hours, whatever, at some point, and so it kind of puts you a little bit on edge. Maybe I'm very stubborn, so I'm like, you have to kick me in the shins 3 or 4 times and then I'll stop. But I would say that's far beyond the average for people. And I think that if you're more of a pure gamer and not so much there for the immersion and sort of the concept and sort of losing yourself in it, which I think is most people, then you're going to have a much harder time than I am. And even I've had my buttons pushed by it. And the sad thing is, it's like, like the kind of meme of it is it's 10 years and lots of money and it's still in in air quotes early access alpha of those bugs. So like in terms of like if you came into it like brand new and say it was like 1 year into this early access, whatever fair amount of time, you'd be like, wow, this is really amazing, like at times, but it's early access and it's full of these bugs, and so there you go. But the fact that it's kind of 10 years into its life cycle feels, I'm not a gaming industry person per se or whatever, but that feels very, very long amount of time to, to not be at your 1.0 or something. But, the other games can in some ways fit into that. But it speaks to how many people love it and how passionate about it and how much money's been invested in it, that, that it's got that magic ingredient. But it just needs to be consistent. It's I've had so many like unusual things, some of them known bugs and others just randomness or things that have crept in or whatever from patches, and I've only been playing a month.
Right.
So yeah, use with caution. Star Citizen, use with caution.
So I'll say that, like, even from watching, and I say this both as a role player and somebody who enjoys immersion, I'm sitting there on the sideline going, for now, there's no hook in me right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing drawing me towards the game, because I'm seeing these things and I'm like, okay, what's my goal? What do I aim for? What is my entry point? What is, like, I see nothing of these things that are drawing me in, other than, I'm in space. But I'm in space. I can get that from so many other games right now that won't kick me in the shin over and over. But I'm still excited to see where it's going, because I know Roberts, he is famous for his massive works that really, really, really draw people in. So yeah, no, it's going to be very interesting to see where it goes. It is.
Yep.
And especially from, like, as a role player, I see the potential. I really do see the potential of something that is insane and just fantastic. And like, we're talking almost living in a world that I really enjoy, and then that's the Expanse universe, which is one of my favorite sci-fis ever. And Star Citizen is really, really close to that part, and that's where I'm going, okay, this could be cool. But I need to be aware that I have my helmet with me, and that it's not just going to randomly disappear just because I fly to some weird moon.
Or my case in point, as we were talking in the editorial earlier, where I just was in the ship, everything was fine, got up to go down to the cargo hold, and in the middle of the ship, which was all airlocked off and everything, the game just decided that there was no atmosphere in there, and I was in space. It started using my EVA suit thrusters, or whatever you call them, and suffocating me to death. And I luckily was quick enough on the med pen, the oxy pen, and the helmet to survive. But yeah, the game teaches you, put your helmet on everywhere unless you're eating and drinking, and then put your helmet back on, and that's not how it's intended and not what you want. Imagine The Expanse, right? Which I love as well. I'm rewatching it in Series 2 again. Imagine The Expanse, but they all just wear their helmets all the time, except when they eat a Snickers, just in case. It wouldn't be the same. You'd have none of the expressions. You'd have none of the, it wouldn't work. But that's basically what you've got right now with the Star Citizen. So yeah, put your shin guards on if you want to, but trust me, it won't be enough. It's if it pushes my buttons, that's usually a good sign and gauge for me that I would say to some people, like in the community, look, I know you enough to say you shouldn't try this one, or you shouldn't try it too much because it'll it'll just be more stress than fun.
Mm.
So yeah, be warned. But I'm extremely excited, a little bit addicted. I find it very relaxing most of the time. You can't overdo it because it will. There's only so many kicks to the shins you can take in one day.
Right. From one buggy mess to another buggy mess.
Nice.
How's Starship Troopers?
Starship Troopers is amazing. It's early access, so it needs some polish and some TLC.
Okay, can I before you go on? Can I just ask?
Yeah.
How did you get rumbled into it?
So yeah, I got bundled into the back of a DMCA truck with Dingus. Cringer just hit me up and said, "What do you think of this one? Do you want to play that one?" And I was like, "Well," I was like, "Have you got a key?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, okay." Sure, because FPS and all that, not really my bread and butter, let's say. But anything can be a lot more fun with some friends or good company. And it was way better than I thought it would be. I can't remember how long we played for, like maybe 9 hours or something. Or no, I think I did about 6 hours or so straight of that. From the time differences and that when we start. And it was just really, really like good fun. It's just flat out kind of silly, over the top Starship Troopers kind of, that whole thing. They need to add more of that. It's cool what's there, but they need to, make it even more like over the top Starship Troopers, like the tie-ins. Obviously it's all there and licensed and everything, but you need to feel more of it. The little bits are kind of cool, but there needs to be more of that, more immersion, more little video or audio moments and things to really draw you in. But I think just 16-player co-op, PvE, the starter mission where it's like you go section by section by section, all of that's super, super fun. And then the extraction at the end is hilarious because like whoever makes it out and it kind of turns into you want to help each other out and you're being so overwhelmed and swarmed that it's like, you know what? I want to take everyone out with me, but let's get to the dropship first, shall we? And then we can scream encouragement at everybody as we take off. So it kind of brings that out a little bit, but not in a mean way, but just in a, you just naturally become overwhelmed, which I think is a good feeling of the way it works. The other missions with the go and build a base and build up some resources, and I didn't enjoy that one so much because one battle can go like half an hour to an hour or something, depending on whether you're focusing on the right objectives. And then you do one objective too soon and it triggers a whole load of waves and you're not prepared for it. And you do them too late and some of the objectives have timed out or you didn't get to do them at all. And it's kind of like, that's one of those, all the ingredients are there, but someone's just thrown them all over the kitchen floor and said, pavlova. That's not how it works. So you need at least to start with a fruit salad and some big chicken eggs. I've learned from watching you play Dinkum. So yeah, it's really good fun, especially if you get a group together of friends of whatever size or whatever, or you just throw yourself at it. It's online, so you'll always get like the better teams and the not so good ones or whatever possible. But the fact that you all have a common objective to kind of survive, get the objectives done and get to the next goal or whatever, and the upgrade system or whatever, there's no battle pass or anything at this stage. There's nothing to buy extra or anything. So you're just literally immersed in the game playing it, and progression's there for people that like progression. And it has a meaning to it. It feels like an actual, like you get a better weapon, you get a better support option or whatever. And before I forget it, sorry, I'm not saying a lot of things all at once, but before I forget it, I played the support class like the medic, and it's one of the first times I remember in a long time where the support class actually feels like it can do its job, and you get proper XP and properly rewarded for healing people and dropping med aid where it's needed and stuff, and that feels good. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So, and the tank class that Arkard and Cringer were playing seemed like it worked really well when they learned what to do and when to do it. It seemed like that worked well, and they had good upgrades and different weapons and things. So it feels like, I think it's only 3 classes in it at the moment, but they all feel distinct and purposeful, and if you have a mixture of those across the team, it seems to work quite well. But don't forget your medics. Treat your medics well, everyone, and they'll treat you well.
Yeah, no, that is definitely something that goes across the board for other games too. I want to point out, it's not just in Starship Troopers. No, like I love the idea of a proper PVE oriented game where you have set goals, you have set limits, and everything, and it's something that everybody works towards, because shooters can become a bit stale, for lack of a better word, but having a proper PVE element to work together towards, that's something that really appeals to me. So yeah, no, it's it looked a lot of fun. It did.
Yep.
I'll admit that. So I'm looking forward to seeing more from those.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see how it goes, and hopefully it inspires a few other similar things. I think having the 16 players on the team was cool. It doesn't feel too many either, because the different waves and the different objectives and the different roles. You're all you've got your little squads within the team, and everybody's kind of helping each other out. It's set into 4 squads, I think. Yeah, they've got the nice magic ingredients. It's just silly fun. It definitely does need polish. I think a lot of people have kind of slightly glossed over the fact that it needs a bit more polish, from sort of the feedback and people like talking positively about it. So you shouldn't, but I think it was like $25 or something. So not too pricey either. For what it is. And then, yeah, maybe if you're not sure, just watch a little bit more, and maybe wait for whatever the first big update is or that comes along, and see how that looks.
They will it strikes me as one of those games that will probably encourage a lot of Twitch communities to work together. So yeah, no, keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. Speaking of Twitch, they're doing stuff, and they're doing efficient stuff. Stuff that I like. These are just going to be some very quick mentions, not necessarily going to go into a heavy discussion around them. But they are currently rolling out a new window or browse feature for when you look at categories. I noticed this randomly the other day when we were doing the grumbling, and we were looking for somebody to raid. That I went into the World of Warships category, I clicked on a channel, and instead of taking me directly into the channel, it popped it up to the top and showed me chat. It showed me gameplay. It gave me audio. I didn't need to go into the channel, get an ad, and then be thrown back out to the browse to just then repeat it. And I think this is the first step of what the new CEO was talking about. We mentioned that, I think, not too long ago, that he wanted to better the browse experience when you're looking for a new channel to become familiar with. And I looked at it and I went, this is good. This is really good. So hopefully this is something that rolls out to more people, because it was kind of like front page-y look, feel to it. But no, it was a really good feature. So yeah, make use of that, everybody. Another thing to be aware of if you're on Twitch a lot and you kind of want to see channels that cooperate together, there is a new feature called Guest Star that allows a streamer to take in another streamer or a guest star, simply put. And any channel that has that active will actually show up as +1 in your feed. So yeah, I haven't tested out the guest star stuff myself, but it's a good idea. It's a good idea.
Yep, same.
Maybe one of their better ideas that they've ever done is that they are going directly after Stream Elements and Streamlabs in they are onboarding their own alerts system. We're talking sound alerts, we're talking GIFs on screen and everything. And it is customizable by the streamer, of course. And I've had a look at it. It's actually kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very, like when you first start looking into any new system, it's always kind of, where do I click and so on. But they actually have guides. They actually have explanations of what the different events are and so on, and I love that. So I think I might test that out, because there's a couple of things that Twitch have in their alerts that I'm missing other places. For
Okay.
instance, if you hit your, like, if you set a daily sub goal on your channel through Twitch, now it's been a while since I looked at my streamer bot for this, but last time I looked, it didn't have it. But Twitch has that, so you can get an alert if that daily goal gets hit, or that follower goal gets hit, or so on, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is
I
cool.
like that. And so this is all part of their kind of step up to help the creator do or have an easier time to do stuff. And another thing they're doing is they are really embracing the fact that creators are on other platforms. We're talking TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, and so on. And they have made it easier to make clips vertical for streamers. I'm not sure if they're going to be rolling this out to viewers, but right now they're making it easier in the clip organizer or whatever, the clip manager. I don't remember, but that's something they're doing, and something that we usually do around here. When somebody deserves kudos, we give them kudos, and I want to give Twitch kudos for this, because this is good. All of these are minor changes, but they are steps in the right direction.
Yeah.
That's the insight from Grumbles. Yeah,
that's the insight from me. Yeah. No,
yeah,
I think
cool.
you said it all perfectly. I'm excited for it. I couldn't agree more. I haven't so like the alerts thing I haven't had time to look at all. The vertical clip thing, I don't do anything like that yet, so doesn't really interest me at the moment. But I understand that if people are doing other things like YouTube Shorts or TikToks and stuff, that's super helpful. I get it. It's just not something that is something relevant for me right now. But it's cool. I like it. It's little things in the right direction. It's interesting that their latest partner email didn't really speak to any of those. They mentioned the alerts. Oh no, they did. I think they mentioned both.
Yeah, I literally just scrolled through it and saw all of this in there.
yeah. No, I only just looked at it. I think my short-term memory kicked in there. So kind of cool. I'm hoping I get to see that category thing. I couldn't find that on their dev blog or any of their mails. So it's probably just one of those that's in testing. But I agree, it's like a mini front page, and that is super exciting. I think that's a really positive thing, as long as that there's a good, logic to how it rotates and whatever. It's cool.
Makes it easier for you to find channels that you enjoy, and that's going to make people want to stay on the platform longer. And yeah, there you go. Anyway, we are moving on to one of my favorite segments out here, and today we're gonna have a bit of a fun discussion, I think, and it's know your role. Know your role.
Only gets better with time.
I know. It's so badly made. I love it. So literally earlier today, I had a thought. What does a DM do if somebody has an honest mistake with a spell, and you have a spoonerism, and it gives a completely new meaning to the spell? And the first example that came to my mind, I already mentioned it in the editorial meeting. It was expeditious retreat becomes seditious retreat. What? So if somebody casts seditious retreat, what happens then, Grumbles? Like, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Yeah, so seditious is inciting people to rebel, typically against authority or something like that, like a monarchy or whatever. So in my mind, I immediately see that this, as the spell goes off, the locals just rise up, whoever's in the room, whatever, rise up and start, having pitchforks and torches and doing a whole Frankenstein's monster, chasing the town guards or whatever. So you'd use it in a circumstance where you need, basically, it becomes a big distraction. So rather than expeditious retreat, which is just you move quicker to get away from trouble, because you're a crafty wizard and you leave your pals behind. Seditious retreat just becomes it becomes a War Thunder strike movement that distracts Gaijin entertainment enough that you get away. To link it back to the previous.
Oh, an angry mob shows up and starts rebel rousing, distracting your people, allowing your entire party to retreat instead of just you. Yeah. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Sparked into my memory when you mentioned it earlier.
Because the first thought I had about what seditious retreat was, it simply turns you and your party into a train of people with pitchforks and such, but you're just throwing apples and something just to kind of say, we're leaving now, but you're making a big fuss out of leaving. That's the sort of thing that came to my mind.
Yeah.
But I love your idea. Oh, that's amazing. What other spells could have these things happen to them?
So I got up a list of, when Tiger mentioned it in the editorial, I looked up a list of D&D spells, and my mind starts going into overdrive with all the stupid possibilities. But I picked one little one, just a really simple one, and I picked this specifically because it popped into my head, and I thought Tiger will get a good chuckle out of this because he's always on his telephone and stuff like that, right? So I deliberately call it telephone just to irritate the nerd in him. I thought instead of calm emotions, you have calm emoticons. And when you cast the spell, lots of really friendly, funny, like relaxing, amusing emoticons appear like as illusions around your target. And they just they're like, oh, look at the cute kitten emo. Oh. And I thought, yeah, you'll get a giggle out of that. You'll like that.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that is really good.
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought that I've got a more abstract one. It's
okay.
a quick, just as a quickie, was there's Arms of Hadar. And I thought if you just misread that, you get Arms of Bill Hader, the comedian. So you just literally, his arms appear and like give you a hug or tickle you or something, make you laugh. So I thought that was kind of but it was a much more abstract one. So that's what I wanted to go with there. So that was just from glancing at a list of like alphabetical list of the spells. I was like, there you go. There's two for you.
There we go. Right. Yeah.
Oh, no, I've made a mistake. I looked back at the list before I closed it. I've got one more. I'll squeeze another one.
Go.
So Cloud Kill. But when you do it, Amazon Web Services goes down. Sorry, I'll close the list now. I couldn't resist that one. I thought, there you go. I only got as far as C. Close the page now. It won't happen anymore.
Oh my God. Oh, there we go. So here is my call to arms to the community.
Mm-hmm.
Give us your favorite botched spells as such. Like new name with just switching one or two things around, or an honest misunderstanding in what it does. There you go. I don't know. I can only think of the bard's summon instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody summoning an organ. but it's not a church organ or anything. It's a liver falls on somebody or something.
Oh God!
Yeah.
And the rest of the party just turn and look at the bar and go, "Oh, again."
What? I'm taking anatomy lessons.
We've talked about this spell. We had a meeting and we agreed as a party, not that one.
They had a meeting, MEAT.
Oh God!
I gotta stop. Oh God! Oh no! I'm making it worse.
Yeah. That short rest we took and that meal you cooked. Where exactly did you get that liver from?
You don't want to know.
Yeah.
Speaking of not knowing,
Mm.
I finally know how I want to play my Generation Zero inspired campaign.
Nice.
And it's going to be set in the Hunter system, which is based on World of Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
For those who do not know what Generation Zero is, it's a FPS that is set in Sweden, 1989, or actually early 90s by now, where robots have been given AI by the Swedish Defense Ministry. Bad idea, Sweden. Bad idea. And it kind of evolves from there. I'm not going to say too much about that, but the reason why I've gone with the Hunter system is, so the original setting for Hunter is that it's set among vampire. It's set in, it can intertwine with mage, vampire, werewolf, and a few of the other World of Darkness systems.
Mm-hmm.
And in Hunter, you are literally just a human being. There's nothing special about you except for you have this awakening moment where you become aware of all of these supernatural beings.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I like Hunter is because it's like you can play you can be you if you want to. And it's a D10 system, so it's really simple to get into and use. Because you literally only roll one type of die. That's it. And it's just, it lends itself really nicely to the idea that I want to play out in Generation Zero. So I've now recruited a couple of players, and hopefully we can start making characters. I'm not sure if I'm going to be streaming it, but yeah, I might record it just for sake of publishing at some point. But we'll see. I'll have to talk to my players about that. But you have experience with the World of Darkness.
Yeah, we've been playing VTM for a little while, and that's been
Vampire
super
the Masquerade
fun.
For those who don't know.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, and yeah, that's been super fun with the added challenge of like, playing a monster, like in air quotes. We talked about a little bit about that last time out. Yeah, that's been really enjoyable, and I like the simplicity, albeit there's, like with all things, it's like 5th version or whatever, and there's been revisions and things added, and so it's not without some degree of challenge that any kind of system like that can bring, but it's very enjoyable, and it's mostly, and again, we've got a good GM and a good group for it, so it's predominantly story and role play driven. So it's kind of what you come up with and how you go about things, and behave in the world rather than dice rolls. But there's enough dice in there to cater for the dice, minimal dice requirement, or whatever it might be called. You might call it.
So that's something you bring up where I really love it. It's like those books are excellent for role play driven settings, and you can even like, you don't necessarily have to have role based combat, but you can have role play based combat. if something fits with what you're trying to do,
Yeah.
you can allow it to happen. It doesn't even need to be within rule of cool.
Yeah.
I once played a Nosferatu. Um, one of the more ugly and evil races, but they are fairly well known to be stealthy, and that made for a good rogue-like or assassin-like character. And my DM at the time, he asked me because I was trying to get into a building, and he asked me what I wanted to do. Well, I find a vantage point where I can get up behind the two guards that are standing there, because they're facing forward, and I just kind of meld out of the shadows, and I just simply stab them in the neck. You know, just kind of slashing their windpipe, slashing everything. and he was like, "Okay, yeah, you do that." I'm like, "Don't I need to roll?" No. You are literally a old generation vampire that is super stealthy and strong. Like you don't have to roll to do this with a couple of normal human beings just standing there. They're gone. They're dead.
Awesome.
So I was like, and I really like that part of it, you know, and it fit into it because you have that element of role play related actions that just kind of let you go in, but you got to do the thing you wanted to do too, you know. So but you like you said, there are still roles that can be made, and I can easily see that for kind of leading this Generation Zero inspired group, where they will be facing robots. There's no secret about that. But I imagine that combat roles isn't necessarily that they will be missing their shots, but are they able to place them properly to actually get into the soft spots or to the weak spots on the robots? That's where we're talking about the combat roles that will matter, you know.
Sounds good.
That, or they need to find a way of being smart and just outsmarting the robots. We'll see. We'll see. I'm really looking forward to leading this. It's been in my mind for a long time. So if anybody has any good ideas of what I can throw after people, let me know. Let me know in the comments alongside your spells. Speaking of comments, community contributions.
Nicely done. You really picked up your Sega. I think that first one really hurt you.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
that was a slap across my ego to misuse or to have a misnomer there. Yeah, no, community contributions has become a thing that we really enjoy. And we have a couple of comments on the YouTube video from last time. And last time we mentioned the Seychelles map, which was new then. I still have only seen it just a handful of times. And I have to admit, I've had a couple of really painful encounters, mostly because people keep running away from the middle, and that just opens it up. Anyway, that is beside the point. We were talking a bit about the cruise ship in the middle of the bay there, and if you can use a sub to get in there. And just Cheg says that's literally the first thing we tried in testing in the office, is to enter with a submarine into that little bay in the middle. So thank you for confirming that, Cheg, that you tried that. That's I love the fact that they actually do that sort of stuff. It's not just us. Like, we're literally talking the publisher of the game. They're sitting there and, ooh, can I do this? And then they go and try it. You know,
bunch of nerds.
Like, I don't doubt that the devs kind of looked at it and went, no, that's not possible. But you know, then you have the guys in the office that kind of have their passion for the game go, ooh, let's try. You know, it's that sort of childlike wonder. and I love that. And Mari also says regarding the last episode, I had a blast listening to this episode. The very intimate insight into your favorite songs was amazing. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Yes, that was a good moment, last night. I like that. And speaking of something like, I will kick off something to smile about.
Okay.
Where we are going to be talking a bit about the kindness of strangers, and strangers in this case is in quotation marks, because it's not necessarily strangers, but at the same time, it is people living on the clear opposite side of the planet that you have this parasocial relationship with, that choose to be kind to you just because you're on a screen. Well, it's not just because, let's be fair. There are other parts in there, but I recently had an episode where I was just sitting there quietly streaming, and then somebody, because I use the Throne service, where I literally put up stuff that is nice to have and things I want to have because it'll help increase my streaming experience, but it's not a need to have. And then not long ago, I've had a few smaller contributions to it, and I'm not gonna neglect those. They are also part of it. But Mr. T-Bone Jenks, absolute crazy butt, just said, you know what, here you go, and finished it off with a sizable donation. And then the wonderful Dutch Eagle and Flyer, which has been huge part of the charity auctions and such that I've had, said, you know what, here you go, here, have those sound panels that you want too. And I'm just sitting there going like, why are we being kind to this bearded weirdo?
I'd go with the first one. I like the first one better.
From northern Norway, that's just sitting here rambling and cursing at the screen from time to time. And I'm like, it made me smile to think that despite all the toxicity on the internet, there is also a large amount of room for kindness in these ways. And we're not just talking through charity, we're talking through these sorts of things too. And I'm gonna stop because it's making me slightly emotional.
Yeah. Well, I think we can connect up quite well because I fully agree, and it is awesome, and it's a wonderful thing, and it's inspiring and encouraging to know that you kind of know that there's good folks out there everywhere, and that far outnumber all the negativity and stuff, or people having not so much like negative people, but just people having negative experiences or expressing themselves in such a way. And my something to smile about is about someone who's incredibly positive, friend of the channel and fellow streamer and wonderful role player, fun person, Trammer. She
now I get the pizza hat.
Yeah, she was doing a charity drive recently, or has been doing a charity drive, and I'm always looking out for causes and people that I can support, and the more we can connect and have a stronger sentiment and understanding, or just know how much people care. And Trammer's been supporting St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. And she, as part of her drive, as usual, as I do as well, I'm sure a lot of people do this, we all tend to just, it's not that we don't believe in the kindness and generosity of communities, but we don't want to try and push the limits or whatever, So you kind of go with you sort of lowball it without meaning to, but for like all the right reasons. Everyone always starts off with these things like, yeah, well, maybe we can get $50 or something, just to put a number on it or something. So Trammer always does this and underestimates how much fun people have there, and what that means, and how people will be willing to help, because it's so genuine. You're supporting somebody through their genuine desire to help other people, and as a mother, and that makes it all the more poignant when you're helping um, children that need support and whatnot, and their families, and the people that give that support. So anyway, Trammer, as again, we went in there with a raid recently, because I love going to places where there's something on offer, where we can offer some support as well and connect up. Not only that, but obviously connecting up what I call good vibes television, where you can bring people, communities, and people together that will vibe with one another and have a good time. And Trammer, bless her, she gets so flabbergasted. But we went in there, and right away, she's done things like wearing Pikachu costumes before, a bit like you did with your plastic sweaty cow thingy, Bobby. That was hilarious. And we got in there, and I was like, what on earth's going on here? And she was wearing a hat that was basically the shape of a pizza. So that's why we called this bit Pizza Hat. And it just made me smile, and it made me chuckle that people do all sorts of things, and some people are very extrovert and go way beyond and do just crazy stuff, and other people just do it because they like that to show off or whatever, and that's not criticizing, but that when somebody doesn't want to necessarily, we all make fools of ourselves in a certain way, or don't take ourselves too seriously. I think that's a very healthy attitude, but it's different when you put yourself kind of on TV, and you kind of just go for it. You just let go, and you say, you know what, let's just have some fun with it. And it was just great. This Pizza Hat was like just really good, but like that's kind of a really terrible Pizza Hat kind of thing, but it's hilarious. And it just made me smile. And it's just nice that people, you just do a little thing, and because you have to sort of put yourself out of your comfort zone sometimes, and it's just nice to see somebody who's just down to earth and got family and kids to take care of and all that, but just still putting that extra effort in, and then making it a little bit extra fun and giving us all a bit of a chuckle. So here's to people helping each other out, and going the extra mile where they can, and and making me smile at the very least. But I'm pretty sure everybody who went there had a good time and a good giggle and a good chuckle on their face when they saw that. So yeah, that's my one.
Can confirm. Trammer is so I always describe Chaos as a firework of a person, and Trammer is also that, but a very different kind of firework. It's more like those sparkly sticks, you light and they just kind of keep on sparkling.
Yeah,
That's
we call
Trammer.
them sparklers.
Yeah, so it's just a continuous sparkle going on. That's kind of the vibe I get from Trammer. So there we are. We are at the end of today's episode. And I know right now that it's going to take some editing to fit all this together. Not because we've gone overboard, but because there's been some blips and glitches here and there. So hopefully that does not shine through on the end product. But that's going to be up to my editor, aka me, to see if I can fix that.
He knows the editor fairly well.
Yeah. We share an office. We also share a bedroom. Oddly enough, that's kind of weird. I won't lie. Well, that's it. Let me try that again. Like it's been going so well. But without further ado, and without anything else to say, it's been a wonderful episode, and I look forward to exiting to port with people again. It's goodbye from me, and goodbye from Grumbles.
Bye.
Goodbye.